And now joining us in the studio, we have a veteran of the Paratroopers Brigade who fought in 4 Israeli wars, Professor Moshe Amirav, former political advisor to Ehud Barak at the Camp David Accords and professor of political science at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. Now, Professor Moshe Amirav, first of all, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you.
It's an honor to have you. Now, again, as I just mentioned, you were in 4 Israeli wars. That's not something that many people can say about any country, really.
Right.
How did that affect you? Can you just tell us a little bit about that experience and what that
and what Yom HaZikaron means to you as a result of that?
Yeah, I think it's important for those who are not living in Israel to understand what it means for Israelis to be in a war. And I happen to be in 4 wars. When I say it abroad, when I come to lecture about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and they say that we Israelis fought in 4 wars, and I am the example, because not many people were even in 1 war. So the wars were, when I was very young, 18 years old, I was a paratrooper in the Paratroopers Brigade in Jerusalem. I liberated East Jerusalem. I was the first one to arrive to the Kotel, and then I got a shrapnel in my head. So they took me to the hospital.
I understand you have some photos, actually, that you brought to show us
all the photos
some of these...
to prove my...
Sure.
I don't think you need to prove it, but no. I think, we'd obviously love to take a look.
And the second war was in '68 when I was in the Paratroopers Brigade over the Jordan River trying to catch Arafat and the PLO. And we got into a war not only with the Palestinians, but also with the Jordanian Legion, which was a very good legion. So we had another war with many of my friends who died there. And then, in '73, I was the paratrooper who were the first one to cross the canal in the Yom Kippur War. So I was the first one in the first boat to arrive to Africa. And that's how we changed the war. And we got to win the war against Egypt. And the 4th war, I was quite old then, but I came with the young paratroopers to explain them what's going on. I went with them to Lebanon. And in Lebanon, we had another war for a few months, and many died there too.
It's interesting, having lived in the United States for so many years, the way that we see Memorial Day being celebrated there is very distinct from what we see here in Israel. The country really comes together. Why do you think that this day is so impactful to the Israelis? I mean, obviously it is an obligation to serve in the military here, but it goes beyond that.
Yes, definitely, it's beyond it. When I was young, before I went to the army, I heard all the stories of my parents who were in the Holocaust. And for me to go to the army after the Holocaust, which almost all my family, grandfathers, mothers, they were all killed there in the Holocaust. Wow. And my mother came with me to Israel with my father. And as a child, I heard all the time about the Holocaust, the Holocaust, the Holocaust. So for me to go to the army was a privilege. I said, okay, now I'm a paratrooper. They will not be able to do us what the Germans did to us in Europe. So I felt that this is a kind of a mission that I carry for my parents, for my grandparents.
And that's why Yom HaZikaron is just a week after Holocaust Remembrance Day here.
And this is exactly the connection between the Holocaust and the fear that many Israelis have in this country, that we won't have another Holocaust here in our country with our army. And that's why our army is one of the best armies in the world. It's not only because technology.
It's because we're literally fighting for our lives.
Yeah, we are fighting for our lives. There is no other country who fights for that.
And I mean, what can you tell us about this book that you've put together? I mean, this is from all of your many years in the Paratroopers Brigades?
Many years.
Many years of army days.
And this I made for my, actually now for my grandchild. Wow. He is 4 years old.
So
and I made it for him. Because he doesn't know, and when I will not be here, I want him to understand and to know where his grandfather fought, and why he fought, and why he was saved. Because I got a shrapnel in my head, I almost died. And then his father, my son, got another shrapnel in another maneuvering of the paratroopers. So it's in the family.
Having been through so much war, we have Independence Day coming tomorrow, and now we're going to look towards the future of the state of Israel, what lies ahead for us. I mean, what is your hope as somebody who has obviously seen so much violence? Do you think that we're going to be seeing many wars down the line?
Look, I don't know what the future will be here. All I know is that after all these wars that I fought, I became now, in the last years, a soldier for peace. Now, to be a soldier for peace means that you have to fight politically to what I fought physically in all these 4 wars. Politically, I think we have to find a way to peace with the Palestinians, not only with the Palestinians, with the Arab world, not only with the Arab world, the Muslim world. I was now in Morocco. I was meeting the king of Morocco, speaking with him about Jerusalem. Now, Jerusalem is an issue that Trump is going to deal in his plan. Mm-hmm. And Jerusalem is not only a question between us and the Palestinians. The Arab world, the Muslim world is worried about it. So we have to find a solution to Jerusalem, not only between us and the Palestinians. Sure. This is what I explain sometimes to the Israeli leaders when I was with my prime minister in the negotiation, Barak.
So what is your advice to young people who are going to be going into the army right now, which is obviously a very
substantial portion of the population?
Yeah.
Right.
All, yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I tell them what I told my son. And my son, he asked me, do I have to go to a military active paratrooper group, or I can find a nice job in Tel Aviv as a soldier? I say, no, you have to go the way I went, to the places which is very risky, to be in battle. You have to do it, because who will do it if you were not going to do it? I don't want you to be killed, but this is what you have to do. And he did it. And he went to the Golani.
It's interesting.
And he got a shrapnel in his head.
Just like you.
Like me. So, I mean, it's a coincidence, of course. But this is the story I'm telling when I'm abroad to foreigners. They don't believe me. They think it's a story. This is the reality of Israel. And I say to the young Israelis, go to the army, be in the battle, and understand how cruel it is, and then fight for peace. And this is what I'm doing. In the last years, I'm fighting for peace.
Well, I think that you really provide some very interesting perspective on this issue for a lot of our viewers who are obviously not from Israel.
Powerful history to back it up.
Powerful history to back it up. Thank you so much for joining us, Professor. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.